Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. Arvind Kejriwal's allegations of corruption against Arun Jaitly when he was president of the DDCA have dominated the news for the last 3 days. Not only have they created a bitter divide in Indian politics, but they've also affected the functioning of Parliament, and for some, they've cast a shadow over the probity of the finance minister. Tonight, we address two critical questions. Is there any basis for these allegations, or are they just vendetta? And how should they be resolved? My guests are Aam Aadmi Party leader Ashutosh, BJP spokesperson GVL Narasimha Rao, CPI Rajya Sabha MP D. Raja, Akali Dal Rajya Sabha MP Naresh Gujral, and Congress spokesperson Sanjay Jha. Ashutosh, hours after the CBI raided Rajendra Kumar's office, Arvind Kejriwal began making allegations against Arun Jaitly, claiming that he was guilty of corruption and other malpractices when he was president of the DDCA and promising a commission of inquiry. Is the timing just a coincidence, or is it proof that these allegations are either revenge or at least an attempt to deflect attention?
See, Karan, there are the 2 points. Firstly, let me tell you very frankly that the central government has written a letter to Aam Aadmi Party government, and in that letter it has very clearly said that you please get this DDCA thing investigated. And I can show you, this is the letter which Home Ministry and the Sports Ministry has written to us. This is written to us on 27 July. And after that, the Aam Aadmi Party government has instituted an inquiry under the Vigilance Commissioner and the Secretary, Mr. Chetan Sanghi. Chetan Sanghi has completed its report on 17th of November. So those who say and those who claim that this DDCA thing is a diversionary tactic by Aam Aadmi Party, rather it's other way around. The raid on Chief Minister's office was an attempt to divert attention from the DDCA thing and to deflect main attention from there and to get hold of the copy of the DDCA which was available in the Chief Minister's office.
Okay.
So I must say this, that it is other way around.
Sanjay Jha, your party, the Congress party, has demanded a joint parliamentary committee, and you've also asked for Arun Jaitly to step aside as finance minister in the interim. I've got a twin question for you. First of all, how can a JPC investigate a private company? And secondly, if that was a serious rather than just a rhetorical demand, why did you not make it in Parliament either yesterday or today? Because in Parliament, you haven't said a word about this.
Karan, first you got to look at what is possible in terms of investigation. Now, while the Aam Aadmi Party is saying they will do a commission of inquiry, but if you go by the rule book, they will need the permission from the Lieutenant Governor. And we know the kind of antagonistic relationship there which has been evident over the last year, especially because we know that the LG reports to the central government. So there's a very adversarial relationship there. So the only way forward is that end of day, either the Aam Aadmi Party lodges an FIR or goes to the court seeking an investigation which is more full-fledged by a CBI or other independent agency, or we do a JPC in Parliament. And JPC in Parliament, although the DDCA may be an independent body in that sense, because of the sheer magnitude of the scam that I think is possibly subterranean at the moment, but needs to be brought into the public domain involving India's finance minister, I think you need to have the parliamentarians take stock of it.
D. Raja, Sitaram Yechuri has tweeted, and I'm quoting, that the charges in the DDCA matter are serious and merit a fair and credible investigation. But given that the UPA government got the Serious Frauds Investigation Office to check into this matter, and given that the Serious Frauds Investigation Office reported on the 21st of March 2013, and again I'm quoting, that no fraud was noticed as alleged, and also only certain irregularities, non-compliance or technical violations were found, how do you justify the demand for yet another inquiry? On what basis should that happen?
Mr. Karan, actually speaking, the charges now are leveled by an elected chief minister. I do not think he is making these allegations irresponsibly. You must take the responsibility for leveling such charges, because charges are against the finance minister of the country, government of India. And the finance minister happened to be holding some position in cricket board in Delhi. As far as I am concerned, I am not a cricketer. I never went to see cricket match in any stadium of the country. I came about corruption only at the time of match fixing issue, which was raised by Chalka.
Can I interrupt, Mr. Raja? I'm not talking about whether you understand cricket or not. I'm asking you a different question. Given that the Serious Frauds Investigation Office has already looked into this matter, exonerated Mr. Jaitly, found no fraud, and only found irregularities, non-compliance or technical violations, on what grounds does someone like Sitaram Yechuri demand another inquiry?
Exactly, I am coming to that point. What happened at the time of UPA, that is a different thing. How UPA concluded the entire probe, that is another thing. Now the present Chief Minister of Delhi, Chief Minister, he is an elected Chief Minister, he is making these allegations. If he is making irresponsibly, that's a different question. I think the Chief Minister must own up responsibility for making such allegations. In such a case, the allegations are against the finance minister. He is not just summoned somebody on the street. He is finance minister of the country. If that is so, this deserves to be investigated, and this is an issue which needs to be investigated and examined, and the truth must come out. People should know what happened.
I take your point. You believe that because these allegations are now being made yet again by a sitting elected chief minister, they have a certain importance that perhaps they didn't have earlier, which is the grounds for a second investigation. Mr. Narasimha Rao, today at a press conference, Ashutosh posed 5 very pointed questions to Mr. Jaitly. In one of them, he claimed that a company called 21st Century, in which allegedly Arun Jaitly's close relatives are also involved, benefit to the tune of several crores from the leasing of the stadium seats. In another question, he claimed that when Arun Jaitly in his blog yesterday said only compoundable lapses were found, Mr. Jaitly was in fact deliberately, so Ashutosh said, hiding the fact that these lapses were A, criminal in intent, B, that they could be punishable with imprisonment, and C, the High Court had stayed their compoundability. Now, those are pretty serious issues. The second, that in fact the High Court had stayed the compoundability, is the most worrying of all, because the fact they were compoundable was Mr. Jaitly's strongest argument. And yet Mr. Jaitly is silent, your party is silent, and your silence speaks volumes.
Karan, I think we have chosen to be silent because we find that the Aam Aadmi Party, only out of a complete panic reaction subsequent to the raids against a principal secretary, possibly fearing some exposes about Mr. Kejriwal himself, is trying to be using intemperate language against the Prime Minister and throwing old and borrowed muck at Mr. Jaitly to somehow kind of divert public attention from the cases that his own principal secretary faces. So far in the last 72 hours, they have not asked one single...
Can I interrupt? Is it in fact the case that the High Court stayed the compoundability? In other words, the point made by Mr. Jaitly that the most serious lapses were deemed to be compoundable and therefore not serious, that point is undermined by the fact the High Court stayed the compoundability. Is that an accepted fact, or do you deny it?
You see, Mr. Chetan Chauhan himself yesterday, because I don't speak for the DDCA, but from the knowledge that I have gathered from on the issue, the DDCA had said SFIO had Serious Fraud Investigative Office have brought out some violations.
No, it's not Mr.
And they have
Chetan
already
Chauhan.
paid penalty for
I'm
many of them.
interrupting you again, Mr. Narasimha Rao. This is Mr. Jaitly in his blog and also in his press conference saying that minor lapses were found, they were deemed to be compoundable, and in fact whatever penalties were due were paid. Now, Ashutosh has said that the High Court stayed that compoundability. I'm asking you a factual question. Can you confirm that? Or do you not know?
About DDCA affairs, I'm not in a position to comment. Even if a court had stayed it, so what? So what's the big deal about it?
Don't say so what. If the court states the compoundability, then it means the court deemed these to be more serious lapses than what was being made out originally by Mr. Jaitley. In other words, these were lapses that couldn't be compounded.
No, possibly
they
not.
needed to be
That's
addressed in some other way. So it's a much more serious matter.
That is a lie from Aam Aadmi Party. They should know.
Let me ask you a second question.
One, I think
is it the case, as Ashutosh said today, that 21st Century benefited to the tune of several crores from the leasing of stadium seats, and one of the people who's involved in 21st Century is some unnamed but close member of Mr. Jaitley's family? That too was a point made by Ashutosh. Can you confirm it? Do you deny it? What is your position on it?
This is absolute trash. I think the only attempt is to somehow drag his name into it, which does not figure anywhere. Only this is personal vilification to absolve themselves of serious crimes.
So you're saying to me categorically that no member of Mr. Jaitley's family is involved in any way with 21st Century, and no member of his family could have benefited through 21st Century. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
All right,
absolutely.
That is at least a clear answer. Naresh Gujral, I'm going to bring you in because Ashutosh's questions may, and I underline the word may, have opened a new, fresh and very worrying can of worms. If it is the case, as Ashutosh has said, High Court stayed the compoundability, then clearly some of those lapses are more serious than they were originally deemed to be. Because Mr. Jaitley's great argument is that the SFIO deemed them to be compoundable. In other words, they could be sorted out by paying a penalty or a fine. But if the High Court stays that, then they are much more important. Now, that makes this a more serious charge. How do you respond as an ally of Mr. Jaitley?
Well, Karan, first of all, I'd like to respond to what the Congress party has been demanding about the JPC into the affairs of DDCA, which is a Section 25 company. Now, this rings hollow because if a JPC was to be set up against a Section 25 company, then surely Congress should also say that a JPC should be set up in the National Herald case, which is also a Section 25 company. I don't know whether they would be agreeable to that. Coming to your question, if what is being alleged by Aam Aadmi Party is true, then where is the problem? They can go to court. Why are they making just public discourses? They just need to go to court and ask the court to take action.
Just for clarity, you're saying that if it is true that the High Court states the compoundability, then Aam Aadmi Party ought to go to court rather than make allegations at press conferences. Is that the answer you're giving me, Naresh Gujral?
Exactly.
In which case, Ashutosh,
I have known Mr. Jaitley for 40 years, and I for one do not believe that either he or anybody from his family could be involved in any kind of hanky-panky.
All right. Let me now go to you, Ashutosh, because there is a direct challenge to you from Naresh Gujral. First, on that point that you made at your press conference today, that the High Court had stayed the compoundability. I'm going to ask you 3 quick questions. I'll ask you for specific answers. Are you absolutely sure the High Court stayed the compoundability, or do you want to think again about that point?
No, I'm absolutely sure about it.
And did it stay the compoundability?
See, this is under, let me tell you.
Carry on.
Let me tell you, this is under Section 209 to 20211, the Company Act 1956. It is those things which was called as technical minor things are punishable by imprisonment, and that is why Honorable Delhi Court has stayed the matter. And this further moves. There is a further manipulation. The bench of the Company Law Board, which allowed the compoundability, consists on Mr. U.K. Chaudhary, senior advocate. Mr. U.K. Chaudhary, it has been alleged, had appeared for DDCA while the offending officers were in charge of the DDCA. So I am absolutely clear this has been stayed by the Delhi High Court.
And on that point about Mr. Chaudhary, are you suggesting some sort of conflict of interest?
Absolutely, there is a conflict of interest.
Now, the challenge from Naresh Gujral was this. If you're absolutely sure that the High Court stayed the compoundability, if you're sure about your second point that Mr. Chaudhary's role reflects a conflict of interest, why haven't you gone straight to court yourself? It was a logical step to take, and more importantly, it is buttressed by your claim that the High Court stayed the compoundability. So why haven't you gone to court? Why haven't you filed an FIR? Why haven't you taken any sort of legal action?
Karan, this is... Karan, I think Naresh Gujral and other people are just picking just one element of it. Let me, give me 30 seconds, I'll explain. This is the letter which has been written by the central government to Delhi Aam Aadmi Party government. This was written on 27 July to the Sports Ministry of central government, which was forwarded by Home Minister on 15 June, asking Delhi government to take appropriate action may please be taken as earliest as possible. So this kills the debate that DDCA is a company and cannot be investigated by any other agency. That's the fundamental one, because central government itself believes that this DDCA has to be investigated by the government. Secondly, let me also tell you that the Kerala High Court judgment on Balaji Iyengar in the state of Kerala in 2010, 26th October, clearly says that these cricket associations who plays a major role in cricketing fraternities and the kind of public money it is involved in. Under that, these cricket associations, they are public things.
Yes, but that's
and if they are public
those
things
are
in the
not
public
answers
sovereign,
to the question I asked you.
Under that,
Ashutosh, those are not answers to the question
What?
I asked you. My question was the challenge Naresh Gujral posed at you, that if you're so sure about the High Court staying the compoundability, file a case, file an FIR, take legal action. Why haven't you done that?
Karan, let me answer that. We are in the process of completing the investigation. The three-member committee of Aam Aadmi Party government has submitted its preliminary report on 17th of November. And after that, the government is studying that report and is in the process of taking the next step. This raid on Delhi government office is an attempt to deflect from there.
But this is very interesting.
We have not ruled out anything.
Hang on a second. I'm interrupting you because listen to what you said. You're in the process of studying the report. You haven't finished your analysis of the report. You haven't come to a conclusion about what the report stands for, what it leads to, what it points towards. All of that still has to be determined, and yet your chief minister's gone public on television and in tweets accusing the finance minister. So you're accusing the finance minister on the basis of a report that you are still studying, you haven't come to a conclusion about, you haven't come to a decision about. You put the horse ahead of the cart. Or the cart ahead of the horse, forgive me.
I think you have Karan, you have... No, Karan, you have misunderstood what I said. I said what further course of action will be taken. That is what the Delhi government is contemplating, not about the content of it. So let me clarify this very clearly. The next course of action, whether there will be commission of inquiry, whether it will go to the court, and what action will we are only contemplating about within the legal boundaries, within the constitutionality, what action we are going to take, in what form. That is what we are contemplating. We are studying and consulting the legal luminaries.
Let me go first to Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao. You represent Arun Jaitly because you are the spokesman of his party. You've just heard Ashutosh say that he has no doubt that the High Court stayed the compoundability of those allegedly technical lapses. Staying the compoundability means that in fact it cannot be resolved by paying a fine or a penalty. Therefore the lapses are much more serious than Mr. Jaitly made them out to be. Respond to that for me.
No, I responded earlier. I said the stay does not mean
I'm now
the court
asking
has
you to respond
rejected
more
the
in
present
detail.
position. First of all, no. Okay, the stay, even if a stay had been given on some compoundable, because most of them have been paid up. I'm quoting DDCA current dispensation led by Mr. Chetan Chauhan. And if in a few cases, if a court stay had been given, that by no means does that to be inferred to mean that these penalties cannot be waived. I think a stay does not legally mean anything incriminating for the party that is being accused.
Oh, no, no,
Number
no.
one.
What
Number
a
two,
stay
the
in
charge,
this instance
Mr.
means is
Ashutosh
that, in
clearly
fact, the
says,
matter
please allow
under
me.
question is not so simple that it can be resolved by way of a penalty or a fine. It means that you need something more in the way of legal inquiry and possible legal action. Therefore, Mr. Jaitly's explanation that the matter was resolved by compounding it doesn't hold. That's why it's so serious. And I'm going to bring in Naresh Gujral on that. Because Naresh Gujral, in response to Arun Jaitly's claim, which he made in his blog, that no personal allegation was ever made against me, those were his exact words, Arvind Kejriwal tweeted, "Can Jaitly ji's denial in press be taken as gospel truth? If Jaitly ji were let off without investigations on the basis of his press denial, then should all coal and 2G scam accused also be similarly let off?" Now, when it emerges that Arun Jaitly's claim that these technical violations were compounded and settled by penalty or by some other payment of money or fine is disputed because, in fact, the compoundability was stated, doesn't Arvind Kejriwal's tweet acquire great meaning? Can Jaitly ji's denial in press be taken as gospel truth? It's now being questioned in fact as well by Ashutosh.
Karan, SFIO has given him an absolute clean chit. That is the basis, and that
I want to speak on
inquiry
SFIO.
was held when UPA was in power. Once, can I finish? I didn't interrupt you.
Sorry.
Basically, he got a clean chit from SFIO. Now, if allegations are being made, these people, they say that they've finished their investigations, and if they feel that there's a case against Jaitly, then take action. But don't make frivolous allegations day after day.
But I want to question whether, in
They're
fact,
tying
a clean
themselves
chit
up in
was
knots.
given by the
On one hand, they
SFIO.
say we are studying.
Naresh Gujral, I want to question whether the
Sorry?
SFIO actually gave a clean chit. I accept that no allegations were made personally against Mr. Jaitly in that sense, but in that limited sense only, it gave a clean chit to the person of Mr. Jaitly as an individual. But when the so-called compoundability of the minor offences has been stayed by the High Court, clearly whatever action the SFIO suggested regarding those alleged minor offences is not a clean chit, because the High Court has deemed them to be more serious offences. So, and since those offences happened under Mr. Jaitly's presidentship, it has a reflection on him as well.
If certain offences were committed, whether compoundable or not, that has now been inquired into by the Aam Aadmi government. If they feel that there is a case against anybody, let them take action. Just don't keep making allegations in the public domain without taking any action. That is my point.
Mr. Raja, I want to bring you in here. Both you and Sitaram Yechuri have called for investigation, you've called for inquiries. But you don't know the full story. You don't know the details. You probably haven't seen the SFIO report. You're only making these claims on the basis of press reports or on the basis of allegations made at a press conference by Arvind Kejriwal. And the fact that Arvind Kejriwal is chief minister doesn't mean that he can't make erroneous or mala fide allegations. Why have you chosen to completely trust Arvind Kejriwal and completely distrust Arun Jaitly? Or is it just the way your politics is that you want to believe one man and not the other?
Karan, I would like to butt in on the
Karan,
SFIO and I would
I'll come back to you,
It
Ashutosh,
is not
don't worry.
that
Go ahead,
we
Mr.
trust
Raja.
Mr. No, listen. It is not that we just trust Mr. Arvind Kejriwal and we don't trust Mr. Arun Jaitly. We have nothing personal with Mr. Arvind Kejriwal or with Mr. Arun Jaitly. Now these allegations have come to the public domain. As a citizen, as a representative of a political party, I am speaking here. The allegations are made by a sitting elected chief minister of Delhi, and the allegations are against the finance minister of the country. And if you ask Mr. Arvind Kejriwal to go to court, file a case and pursue the matter, it is one thing. In the same way, you can advise Mr. Arun Jaitly to fight it legally in the court of law. And he can also file case against false allegations made by Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. But the matter is in public domain. The cricket is full of corruption. Even Ms. Kirti Azad, the BJP MP, has been talking about corruption in cricket. And we know what was Lalit Gate and how Ms. Sushma Swaraj's name was dragged and how the demand for a resignation was made. And we know the case of match fixing. I am asking you one fundamental question. BCCI, IPL, or these
Stick to
cricket boards,
Mr. Jaitly, Mr. Raja. Stick to Mr. Jaitly. Don't bring in the whole of BCCI, Sushma Swaraj and Vasundhara Raje Scindia. Stick to Mr. Jaitly. Why have you chosen to believe Kejriwal and not believe Jaitly? Is it just prejudice?
That's what for the... No, I don't believe... No, I don't believe either Mr. Arvind Kejriwal or Mr. Arun Jaitly. I don't mistrust either of them. The point is, both are holding constitutional positions. It is the question of political morality. It is the question of constitutional morality.
Constitutional morality, to be honest, can be sorted out in many other ways rather than having to have a commission of inquiry or an investigation. There are many other ways in which you can sort out differences like this. Let me quickly bring in Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, I want to put the same question to you. There's no doubt that Congress is capitalizing on what you suspect is a vulnerable moment for the finance minister, and you're enjoying it. But is there anything more than Schadenfreude, which is the German beautiful phrase for dancing on someone's grave? Is there any other explanation here other than Schadenfreude? You're enjoying a moment of strength at the cost of Mr. Jaitly. You have no knowledge of the details. You have no knowledge of the factual position. But you're simply capitalizing at the cost of a man's reputation. It may be interesting and useful politics, but is it principled politics? Is this what the Congress party stands for? Exploitation of a man's reputation for the sake of political interest for yourself?
Well, Karan, let me tell you, the Congress party is not gloating at all on the discomfiture and embarrassment being caused to Mr. Jaitly. And let me make a correction here, Mr. Gujral. I don't know whether he's read the report, but I have. It's an exhaustive, serious fraud office report. And I was actually taken aback, Karan, when yesterday, because Mr. Jaitly is not just a finance minister, he's been a law minister. He can look at the devil in the details. But for him to yesterday mislead the people by saying they've got a clean chit was so disingenuous, because that report says, and this is extraordinary, that the DDCA, which is a Section 25 company, and we all know how Mr. Jaitly has waxed eloquent on that for the last several weeks, has violated some serious norms which are criminal in nature. Not disclosing your accounts, not disclosing your balance sheet or P&L is a serious contravention of the Companies Act. There is criminality involved. And besides the fact that there are no tenders being issued for large contracts, read this report, Karan, in conjunction with the fact-finding report of the DDCA and the report of the High Court of the 30 Hazari Court judge who commented on it. When you look at all of them in tandem, you see a monumental scam. And if anyone believes that DDCA, all the payments were made without the president having any knowledge of it, I think then we are, living on a fool's paradise.
You wanted Ashutosh at the end of part one to come in and talk about the SFIO report. Go on, here's your chance. What more do you want to bring to our knowledge that we aren't so far aware of?
See, again, Mr. Arun Jaitly is trying to hide behind Serious Fraud Investigation Office, which is again not truth, not the total truth, because that particular SFIO has investigated matter pertaining to 2012-2013, that is only for a year. Mr. Arun Jaitly had been the president for 1999 to 2013, that is for 14 years.
I believe 2004.
So what about the rest of the 13 years? He's not talking about that. No, he has been the president from 1999 to 2013. So the report only talks about, investigation only talks about, inquiry only talks about 2012 to 2013, just for a year, not for the rest of his his tenure. So that is not complete truth. Secondly, there are the two other investigation. One investigation by DDCA's executive committee appoints fact-finding committee, and which clearly notes, and I read, on inquiry it has been revealed that many spurious and illegitimate payments have been made to certain companies. 9 companies which on investigation turn out to have the same registered office, same email IDs, as well as the common directors. Now this is very important, because Arun Jaitly is not only an eminent lawyer but also an expert on the company affairs. So what happened? Does he know about these furgy companies? Did he take any action against these companies? Who are these people who form these furgy companies and fake companies? So what action he has taken? And third, there was another investigation which was done by the 2 judges committee, and these 2 judges committee has very clearly talked about that Arun Jaitly, when he was the president at that point of time, there was a faulty selections, and there was the selection of the selectors, selection of the players, and not a single आम आदमी का बच्चा खेल सकता था. मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं, ये जजेस की कमेटी कह रही है कि आम आदमी का बच्चा नहीं खेल सकता था. साथ ही साथ जजेस कमेटी ये भी कहा है DDCA did not cooperate with them in argument.
You know, I want to go to Naresh Gujral. Naresh Gujral, it could be called a vendetta if the only person making the allegations was Arvind Kejriwal. But you've just heard Ashutosh back it up by citing things said in the SFI report, by the 2 judges report, by the DDCA own inquiry report. Worse still, these allegations are being made by Kirti Azad and Bishan Singh Bedi too. Kirti Azad is a BJP MP, Bishan Singh Bedi is a former, much respected cricket captain. Surely, now these are much wider, bigger concerns. You simply can't say, go to court and prove it. The government has a duty to investigate itself. Haven't we reached that point?
But Karan, my friend Ashutosh just said that the central government wrote to the Delhi government. They have taken 3 months to investigate and the report is ready. So if they have any masala there, they should file a case. Why make frivolous allegations when you have something to go to court with?
That is a good point. I'm coming back to you very quickly. You know, the recommendations from your own report say very clearly that the government should consider a commission of inquiry. As you said, the report came in somewhere on the 19th of November, if that was the date I heard correctly. Why have a commission of inquiry?
17th November.
So why haven't you ordered the commission of inquiry?
Karan, let me also tell you that on 17th
No, answer my question. Why haven't you ordered the commission of inquiry?
I'm answering
Go ahead.
I'm answering the question. I'm answering the question. On 17th of November, this report was completed. And you know what happens 2 weeks' time? An FIR was lodged against him. He was threatened by a central government, Home Ministry, Joint Secretary.
Forgive me, Ashutosh, all of that may well have happened, but that doesn't stop you launching the commission of inquiry. The fact that a FIR was launched against Chetan Sanghi doesn't stop you launching a commission of inquiry. If you've got the evidence, you've got the report, you've got the suspicion, as you claim, launch the commission of inquiry. You haven't done it.
Karan, let me tell you that
quickly,
the kind of sinister design
that
behind it.
And wait,
don't rush. I'm saying don't rush. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow or day after.
But hang on a second.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
Maybe not tomorrow and day after. The point is you've taken a month and 1 day or 2 and you still haven't launched the commission of inquiry.
No, that's
but
not
you're
an issue,
going public with allegations, you're going public with accusations,
that
but
is not
you
an issue
won't
at all.
put your money where your mouth is.
I can tell you rest assured. I can tell you rest assured. We don't want to rush. We don't want to rush.
No, but you are quite happy to tar someone and their reputation with a broad brush of accusation. You don't want to rush, but you're happy to brush people's reputations into dust and dirt.
Karan, please don't mind it if I say that the Arun Jaitly as a minister's reputation is a reputation, and principal secretary, a senior IS officer's reputation is not a reputation. You mean to say that? In the eyes of law, both are equal. If there are any complaint against the principal secretary, the government is going and an investigating agency is going and investigating and putting him into the black. If the similar allegation is made against Mr. Arun Jaitly, then his reputation should be protected and not the reputation of the principal secretary. What kind of a logic you are giving? Till now, the investigating agency hasn't found anything incriminating against the principal secretary.
That's a fair point.
Everybody,
Let
that's
me
what I'm
put
saying.
it. Let me
So
put
we are-
it to Mr. Narasimha Rao. It's a fair point that you've heard from Ashutosh, even if he was making it to score points of me, that I said he was guilty of tarring the reputation of the finance minister. And if he did have the evidence, he should go ahead with a commission of inquiry. But he says he didn't want to rush, they want to be sure. And he's then turned the tables around and said, but the government hasn't shown the same concern when it comes to the reputation of the principal secretary. Respond to that.
Yeah, when Arvind Kejriwal selected this officer as his principal secretary, Mr. Rajendra Kumar, he was facing 5 vigilance cases in his name. And this report was shown to Arvind Kejriwal by Ministry of Home Affairs, and despite that he preferred to choose him. There were personal allegations against Mr. Rajendra Kumar.
This is the lie.
And then Transparency International wrote a letter. No, please allow me to speak. Please, no, you are lying. You are lying.
No, you are lying.
No one can beat you on
You
that.
are lying.
I think
GV
Mr.
Narasimha Rao, you are lying.
Ashutosh,
you are lying.
Ashutosh,
I dare you.
Did Transparency International, in a letter signed by their executive director, Ashutosh, by the way, his name as well, Ashutosh Kumar Mishra, not write to Mr. Kejriwal with copies to the President, to the Prime Minister, to the Chief Vigilance Commissioner?
Yes.
In May of 2015?
Yes.
And did Mr. Kejriwal not
Can
respond?
I answer?
Yes, go ahead. And Mr. Kejriwal didn't respond.
Can I answer?
Yes.
The similar.
Let me finish,
So
Karan.
the similar letter. The similar letter was sent to.
I haven't
The
finished.
similar letter was sent to the Lieutenant Governor. The similar letter was sent to the CBC. None of them
why
has
did you
responded to
protect
that.
him?
None of them has responded.
he is not
Except that the person in
Mr.
connection
GV
with this
Narasimha
letter
Rao,
is the
GV
principal secretary of the
Narasimha-
chief minister.
Karan-
And the letter is addressed to the chief
Karan-
minister.
No
It is
one
only
can
copies
Karan-
sent to the
GV
other people.
Narasimha Rao, Karan GVL Narasimha Rao
this
is
is a
lying.
thing.
There has
Karan,
not
please
been
allow me
any
to-
investigation
No,
pending
you are
against Mr.
expert
Rajendra
here.
Kumar.
No one can
There
beat
is
you
not a
and
single
Arvind
investigation
Kejriwal in
pending
lying.
against Rajendra Kumar.
Please, I
Just
don't-
there are
alright.
few
We
complaints.
cannot match you.
No,
Gentlemen,
That's your
I
specialty.
don't
difference.
think this
No,
between
that's
the
your
two of
specialty.
you
GVL
serves any
Narasimha Rao,
purpose. I
you
want to
have
go
been-
to
you
Naresh
have been-
Gujral
No, I think
your
and
government
ask
has
my
been
colleagues to
targeting
switch
the
down their
an
mics,
honest
please.
officer.
Naresh
Please
Gujral,
allow me-
you must be concerned about this because you're an ally of the BJP. You watch the somewhat high-handed, incompetent manner in which they handled the accusations of corruption this summer against Vasundhara Raje Scindia and Sushma Swaraj. You've seen the rather high-handed way they've behaved over the land acquisition amendments. You even gave interviews critical of the way they were handling it. And now, once again, when serious allegations are faced, the BJP seems to be boxed into a corner. Are you worried that the BJP is slowly but steadily acquiring the same taint of corruption that brought the Congress government down 18 months ago?
Not true at all. The fact of the matter is, today corruption in high places is much less than what it used to be. So there is, and the whole country knows that, and the whole country believes that. What worries me is that all the parties have not moved from the election mode to the governance mode. And I think the sooner we do that, the better, whether it's the Aam Aadmi Party or the BJP. It is also a fact that for the next 4 years, nobody can dismiss the Aam Aadmi Party's government in Delhi. Mr. Modi also is there to stay for the next 3.5 years. I think there needs to be a little more accommodation from both sides. And both need to come to the governance mode.
This is perhaps one of the most important things you're saying. What would it take for a little bit more accommodation from both sides? My thanks to my guests for joining me, and if you have been, thanks for watching. What a pity. We almost ended with hope, but we're back to discord. Goodbye. Good night.